League has put in items for supports to make sure we get money no matter what. It's a really nice upgrade. So we passively get extra money generation, and actually there are now ways that when we kill a neutral unit, we give money to us and the carry, which is kind of awesome. But when I play as a support in like League, I always feel as if I did something, because support character, oh my god, support characters in League of Legends, they have healing, or they have crowd control. They have abilities that actively affect the fights and also affect the battlefield. We have that in League. So what that means is at the end of the day, even if I'm a support and I'm not getting kills, I very much feel like I was a valuable contribution to the fight. One of my supports I play with in League is Lux. Lux has a bind that she does, so I throw an ability that causes enemies to stand still, which means my carries can get kills. I also have a slow. But Lux is also one of those characters who starts out a support, but if I can get the carry going, I can start changing over to a carry myself. I actually start getting, I start getting damage that I can start applying. So Lux can transition. She can go from, let's go ahead and use that. Lux can transition. But I also play a lot of, I also play Senna, and Senna is also a character who starts as a support, and she can transition to a carry over time. So I play some of those. But I also play as, Nautilus, he's just a tank. That's all he is. He's a tank that applies crowd control. He doesn't really get kills. I play as Sona, who just heals, and Soraka just heals. They're characters who do not get kills. But at the end of the day, I still get to feel as if I participated. It might just be because I stood and intercepted an attack that would have hit my carry. Or I got, I bound 3 people and my carry got a triple kill. Because of the nature of the game, how the game is designed, even though I'm a support, I get to feel as if I made a valuable contribution to the game. In Final Fantasy, I'm a tank main, and it's up to me as a tank to both make sure the enemy does not attack other people. I have a decent amount of control over that. But I need to face the enemy in the right way. I need to move the enemy throughout attacks it does in such a way that I dodge attacks, but also the enemy is and my allies can dodge attacks while still being able to hit my target. I also have to provide a certain amount of damage. So even though I'm not the big damage dealer, I still have a fair amount of a job to do. And at the end of a fight, I still felt like I have added something to the fight. And in this game, yes, I'm enabling other people to take extra turns. They're doing more damage. They're getting extra kills. But because of kind of the nature of the game, I don't feel like I'm doing much else. Like, I'm not doing much of anything else in this game right now. Because my only actions are move a little bit, okay, you can shoot again. Now, if I was able to get those upgrades, I could have done other things. I could have buffed other people and taken those actions. But everybody was like, no. Don't take any extra abilities for 4 missions, so that way you can get this ability to give us 2 extra turns instead of 1. Hey, attack booster plus 75. Excellent. Hey, Mag. Congratulations. You deal a shit ton more damage. And congratulations, Pepper. Now you do some more damage. So I understand where it comes from. And as I said, this is well, look, I'm taking it myself because, again, this is entirely on me. Part of the problem was I was making turns last too long because I wanted to kind of plan more than other players wanted to plan. So it's like, hey, let's not do that. Let's go do this. Let's not do that. Let's go do this. 2 times last night when I had this really great plan that would end up doing amazing things for us. Keep in mind, the plan did amazing things for us both times. This is not me saying I came up with something that we didn't do. We actually enacted this plan both times. The problem is another player had the exact same idea at the exact same time I did. And I was like, hey, you say it. But the problem is it means that this thing that I thought up, this strategy that I thought up, someone else kind of gets the credit for because they're the ones who actually said it. So, like, I just didn't get to feel that, like, I was actually doing much. And the problem is that, number 1, I was making these turns last too long. And number 2, I was trying to take control of their turns too much. Which, look, I'll take it. This is a problem I have. I like to feel like I'm contributing a lot and I'm a big part of the thing. I can still be a part of it and not do those things. So that's on me not to do it. But the whole point is that you can be aware of... So what Wonder was saying was that be aware of your, your faults, and you can work on them and get better. And in this case, that's true. The problem is I'm aware of this fault. I know it's there, and I'm having a hard time getting control of it because one of the things that I'm not good at is self-control. And this is something it's a lot of different parts of my life that I'm aware of that issue. And I have to kind of find a way to get that, because it's an important thing to have. People need to have self-control. You need to be able to go, I have food at home. I'm not going to get fast food or something like that. You need to be able to say, yes, I would really love to buy this video game or do whatever, but this money would be best used something else. It'd be best able to save for later on. Self-control is an important thing for everybody, and the problem is I have a little bit of trouble with it. Sometimes I'm very good at it. Sometimes I'm very not good at it. I don't feel like I actually touched that wolf. So in this case, it's very much a self-control thing. I should have shut my damn mouth and let people take their turns. At a certain point, I think part of the reason why I was trying to do this so much is it didn't feel like anything I said mattered. There was actually a point during the very end of the session where we were spending money. So I finally got to spend my experience, finally got this powerful ability. Again, the powerful ability is, hi, you guys get more turns. So keep in mind, the powerful ability is to let them do more things. But there was an item on board, and the item would allow whoever holds the item to heal someone else. Very inexpensive item, but potentially really powerful abilities. And keep in mind, up until this time, every item that we could buy, I would say, hey, this item looks good for one of you guys. So most of my time was spent, when it came to buying items, was spent saying, hey, one of you should get this new thing. This time I said I should get it, because it would allow me more ability to give them extra turns. No one listened when I said anything. Eventually, and then I got called out for talking too much, and I kind of shut up for a while. It wasn't until after I had stopped talking for about 3 or 4 minutes where someone, and then the DM was like, okay, do you guys want to buy anything or not? And someone goes, hey, that item looks really good. Why shouldn't we get that? And someone said, you know what, that item does look good. Who should get it? And they said, well, I should get it. Well, you don't really use that. You wouldn't really use it that much. Hey, maybe we should give it to Nye, because he uses a lot of abilities. This would really help him, and he could use on one of us. And then they argued about it for another 2 minutes. But something I had literally said minutes earlier about this is an item that would be really good on me that I could also use on one of you, literally no one listened to. And then later on, they went, think about this thing I just thought up. So it just very much felt like, hey, apparently it doesn't matter what I say, they're just not listening at all. So maybe I should just be quiet because I'm not contributing anyways. It ended up having this really bad feel at the end of the day because of how some of these conversations happen. Also, hammer parts. Let's start unlocking stuff. So again, and then TLDR on it is I reacted badly about stuff because I didn't feel like I was getting to do enough in a game. That's also why I ended up not feeling all that hot today. I just didn't bring it up earlier because I wasn't sure who was watching. Because I very much do not want the DM to, because yeah, the DM is the person I want to build this relationship with. They were also the one who called me out. I don't want them to feel bad they called me out because they should have. It's not the way I would necessarily would have done it myself, but they should have done it. I don't want them to feel bad that made me feel bad. Like I said, validation's an important thing for me. And like you said, that's invalidating. And that's kind of why I responded badly to it. Mag, can you stop being a damage sponge, please? Thank you. Okay, let's let Linear heal everybody. Holy crap, we've been working for 3 hours, and we are still not done with this dungeon! Let's go hammer parts. I don't end up seeing it much. Like I don't end up, I don't end up like, that doesn't happen a lot for me, thankfully. Oh, we've unlocked all that stuff. Okay, I'm not gonna actually use any of these. All of these abilities that we see here on Pepper, these are all debuffs. What's really nice about Pepper is that she can apply these debuffs. It's random if it actually works, but she can apply these debuffs to everybody in the battle. So, for example, she can apply sleep, paralysis, poison, curse, or blindness to anybody in the battle. And then flat shot's what I end up using a lot against Eugene, which is flat reduces all of their stats. Just super, super useful moves. I forgot we'd unlocked all of them. So it just gives Pepper this another great way to kind of apply debuffs to the thing. And that's another reason why I kind of like Pepper more than I like Shane, because Pepper gets to do that sort of thing. She's not just this kind of, still have no idea what that does. Pepper doesn't end up being this really, selfish player like Shane. Okay, I want to see if this just immediately puts Mag to the top of the list. That's what I thought. Okay, that's... Wow. I don't think I've ever used that before this playthrough, and holy crap, that's powerful. I mean, there's definitely... There's definitely times where, you know... I've played with players who just don't see the bigger picture, and I'm cool with that. Like, I'm generally very cool with that, but I'm kind of a person that has to look at the big picture over the years and the things that I've done, things like running a store, things like that. Big picture became an important thing to do. So I generally try to look big picture, and so one of the things that really is important to me is the fact that because I do big picture, if I see you not doing it, I want you to hear me talk about it. One of our missions last night was a kind of capture the point mission. So all the rebels we were inside of like this base, and the idea was defend the base for 8 turns. Now keep in mind, 8 turns took us like 5 hours. That's how long everything goes. But we had to defend the base. There were 5 points that we had to defend. So it's like 5 pieces of the board is the way it's laid out. Okay, we're gonna do this. There's 5 pieces of the board, and the idea is if the Empire stands on a piece and you don't have a rebel standing on the piece, the Empire takes control of it. If the Empire takes control of 4 pieces, you lose. We were getting down to turn 6, and one of the ideas is we had R2-D2 with us, and R2-D2 was not doing too much in this game. The idea was he could heal C-3PO. C-3PO does do good work. So the idea was R2 was kind of an extra body for us. He doesn't really do much. He doesn't really do damage. He's supposed to be able to stun people. We were having a hard time landing his stun on people. And so my idea, and again, this other person also the exact same idea. We were looking at the same concept. The idea was to send R2-D2 in on a suicide mission. This was on mission 4. Mission 3 we did the same thing. We sent R2-D2 in on a suicide mission because if he did a thing, we would win. And so I said, okay, let's send R2-D2 in on a suicide mission. He'll go and stand on this piece. We can't go over there to help him. He's gonna die, but they will not take that piece this turn. And some other player asked me, why do we care? Let them take that piece. I said, no. If we lose that piece, we're losing this piece over here automatically. We only have 2 pieces left we have to defend for multiple turns. If he's over there, we have 3 pieces they haven't taken, and now they have to spend actions to get rid of him. So not only did we prevent them from getting a win condition, but also they have to spend resources to stop to make it so he doesn't continue to defend them. It took a bit of arguing to kind of convince them this was a good idea, but that's big picture. You know, they wanted to defend just 2 pieces. It's like, okay, cool, we'll do that. Then they're going to force us off of that piece, and now we're going to have a hard time defending these 2. Sending someone off and making a sacrifice play, you know, doesn't cost us anything. And it was a big thing about we were kind of doing that RPG thing of you save all of your elixirs to the very end of the game, and then you just never use them because you didn't need them in the final boss, so you should probably use your items earlier. It was that kind of that piece going on, is that we weren't using these characters who, these characters cost, we don't lose anything if the characters die. If R2 dies, not a big deal. We don't get him for the rest of this mission. This mission's two turns left. Let him die. It's not going to cost us anything. But we're protecting him and actually losing more important things like objectives and our own health to keep R2 alive, and that doesn't make sense to me. So I kind of look big picture stuff, and I don't mind other players not looking big picture, but I think one of the big deals is if you're not going to look big picture, you have to let people do it. So like your cleric, that's a person who's not looking big picture. They're definitely looking at what's going on, but they're not realizing that now they need to make an action to prevent more important things from happening. And I've had that happen a lot. I had that happen in D&D a lot. My one character death to date was someone who didn't look big picture and didn't listen to people when they said take an action or people are going to die. I told that story too many times, though, so I'm not going to tell that now, but... Usually I'll play single-player games, or usually I play cooperative games for that reason. It's one of the reasons I don't like to play competitive games as much. One of the big reasons I'm okay with League of Legends is that I have it, so, my opponents, I can't hear my opponents. I'm sure you've heard that story. My paladin who went down with the ship to take down a demon to save the rest of his party. We're just gonna drop that because Manila and Royale is gonna be important. We're going up to floor 17. 7 more stories. Okay, let's use some items. Let's go ahead and pop a chameleon color. I mean, as long as the player learns from the mistake, and as long as they show they're not gonna do it again, let them play the healer if they want to play. But if you're... Oh, God, I keep on forgetting to change Pepper's skills. But if you're playing with a player who just says, I'm not going to pay any attention no matter what character I'm playing, they need to play a flat DPS that cannot, that doesn't have that party buff or that healing ability. But if they just made a mistake, let them make a mistake, I mean, I've played plenty of games where I made a mistake, and they may be high. Let's see, we did energy. Guess we can do sound parts, and that'll be the last part we try out because we've already seen her other parts. Yeah, if he's doing that and he's not taking part, then absolutely have him just be a DPS. But like I've played games. I even talked about them recently, but I played games like Final Fantasy and such. Or events where I made a single mistake that did have drastic repercussions. Like, a bunch of people died or we lost the fight or something like that. But being told, okay, you can't do this anymore because you made a single mistake, that, that just feels shitty. Now, if it's you're repeatedly making mistakes, that's something, completely different. Yeah, I've played those big games before. Absolutely. Have definitely done it. Okay, so she also has her sound parts. Apparently that was death metal. So the sound parts allows her to do different types of debuffs. So I think they're not it's not like poison like that. I think they're more along the lines of linear songs. So increased wait time, stuff like that. God, the enemy level is going up so fast. They're really hitting us like trucks. So we'll go ahead and use her sound parts, then I'll change her to actual bullet parts. And she can actually start doing some damage and helping us clear waves. My dog can't decide if she wants to be on my lap or not. I mean, Wonder, are you sure you haven't heard that story? Because this happened like a year ago now, so I'm certain I told this story. Darn it, that wolf's getting a turn. Yeah, I love playing. That's one of the reasons I like playing support roles, or I mean tanks as well, but supports you feel a little bit more. You know, one thing I've heard said, and we say it a lot in Final Fantasy XIV, is we divide DPS classes by strict DPS classes, so like samurai, where all they do is DPS. Then there's also classes that do a little bit less damage, but they buff other classes. And so if I buff you, the extra damage you do is attributed to me because it's based on my buff. So the question is, how well do I buff you to make sure we get the most damage total? And I enjoy playing those buffing classes where I might not do a ton of damage, but I enable you to do damage because I get to feel awesome that I'm helping make so much damage happen, and you get to feel awesome because your numbers are really hard. Yep, like the Bard. You know, Bard, Dancer, Red Mage are all similar classes. So I really like playing that type of class because I enjoy the concept of I may not be doing the damage directly myself, but I'm making a big contribution. You know, if I gave you a 10% damage increase, that's gigantic, and that's a huge amount of damage. So I love those types of classes. So I definitely enjoy, you know, I enjoy playing sports. I enjoy playing healers because they very frequently get to have that type of feel to them. You might not be doing the most damage, but you are contributing a very large part of the party dynamic. That's the kind of number one reason I like playing that sort of thing. Also because if you're the person buffing, you also get to you know, you get to be a big part of the strategy. And like I said, strategy is a big part of my gameplay experience. And I am reading, Zach. I'm kind of not saying anything until you actually finish. Yeah, I mean, tanks do definitely have to move mobs. If your tanks don't understand a strategy about moving mobs, you're gonna have a bad time. That's part of their role. Gotta love druids. I mean, I feel that if you're playing a tank or a healer or a support, really, but tanks or healers, I feel definitely do need to be like smart people, because they generally have a lot more they have to pay attention to. I definitely, like, in 14, I definitely feel that, like, being a strict, like, a strict DPS always felt like an easier role to me. It didn't feel like it was as difficult or required as much effort on my part. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it, you know, other than, like, Black Mage, who really has to know how fights go, most of the classes, most of the DPS classes, they don't really have to know a lot about the fight. They just have to, you know, do the fight. So I could leave to swap out Pepper. I'm probably not going to, at least not for now. Hey, new enemy type. I think this is the last new enemy type in the game, too. This big woolly mammoth thing. Let's see, have we seen all of Mag's hammer parts? We have not. Okay, Sledgehammer. This is probably my favorite attack in the game because of how freaking goofy it is. So this giant hammer attacks, and it has the ability to give paralysis, confusion, or brainwashing to all enemies. It's also probably the longest attack in the game. Okay, what's your second ability? Flat music. Flat themes reduce attack. That's cool. This thing's gonna die. Probably. Oh my god, it's still alive. Ow. Okay, it's almost dead. There we go. So remember, that enemy was level 70-something. Pepper just hit level 62. So enemies now are significantly higher level than me. I have definitely had fights like that, Zach. Just doing terribly for a considerable period of time, and then, you know, new strategy, all of a sudden everything works. That's not good. Okay, what's our next sound? Trip sound. Causes brainwashing. Let's go for it. Missed on everybody. Well, that's not good. And the lighting effect is back. I've definitely seen fights like that, where one mistake causes death to everybody. Good damage. Okay, let's see. So, I got since Wonder Girl Station doesn't know the story, I guess I'll tell it. Because we've got new people in here. So basically, I was in a D&D game, for about a year. What item do I want to use here? Let's use a chameleon color again. So for about a year, we were in this D&D game, and it was this very long-running game. And there were a couple people who had character changes. So the first guy, he played as a kind of a female monk, and he was just not enjoying her. Like after the first session, he was not enjoying her. So he killed her off and made himself an arcane knight, which is fine. Or Eldritch Knight. So, which is fine. The Eldritch Knight was fairly fun, and he brought a lot of useful stuff to the table. Twin had a warlock cleric, and I originally played as a druid. And oh, okay, that's not useful. We're not going to use that right now. And over the course of the game, we did a lot of stuff. Stuff was happening, but the problem is that my druid, I originally made him kind of a surly guy. The idea was he was sort of a younger elf. He's been around for 100 some odd years, but he was kind of a younger elf, and his doesn't like people really, just wants to return kind of to nature. But there's all of these things that keep happening that are damaging nature, like deserts expanding and the nature realm being attacked and things like that. So he was kind of continued with the party just to kind of help out, but doesn't really like anybody in the party, doesn't want to deal with people, things like that. So it kind of started making this really not fun dynamic where I just ended up having to play this character who doesn't work well with others and doesn't want to be with others. So about halfway through the campaign, I tell my DM I want to change characters. I really... Oh yeah, our GM allows multiclassing. It's part of the game. It's part of D&D 5e, so I mean, it's definitely part of the game. So about halfway through the campaign, I told my DM, look, I'm not really enjoying this character much anymore. I'd like to retire him to be an NPC. And my DM says, well, your character isn't dead, so if you do this, you're going to take an experience penalty. You're going to be a level behind everyone else. And I wasn't really happy with that statement, but I was like, you know what? Cool. We'll just do that. That's fine. So I ended up being a level behind everybody else, and I created a Dragonborn Paladin. I usually try to use classes or races that I've never... No, he wasn't boring. As a druid, he was very fun, because I chose Circle of the Moon. So I was a transformation druid, which I really enjoyed. So being able to transform into things to attack in different ways, had a list of all the transformations I could do. So the gameplay was fun in terms of combat, but the interpersonal role-playing, which is what I really enjoy in D&D, just ended up not being good. What's her last thing? Retreat? Oh, everybody can take a step back. Okay, that's not that interesting. So it was fun up to a point. So, as I said, I usually try to play a different race, different class each time, because I haven't done everything 5e yet. But I wanted to be a paladin, because our team didn't really have that. We had a lot of very kind of neutralish people. Nobody really good, nobody really bad, nobody really lawful. So I decided I wanted to get a paladin in there. I wanted to give us an actual tank first and foremost. But I also wanted to give us a character who actually would drive the group towards doing good things. So I did a Dragonborn Paladin, servant of Bahamut, lawful good, and all that good stuff. And the idea was to get that character in there. So we meet up, we do some stuff. But I'm not really part of the party yet. And so we're trying to figure out, number one, how to get my character really into the party. Really how to have my character join the party permanently. So my druid is still around. We retired my druid to NPC. My druid created basically a druidic garden in the middle of a main city, and that became kind of the main base for all the characters. And they would just show up and kind of use it as a meeting ground. But that was kind of about it. I was a Silver Dragonborn. So my character was an NPC. I still played him from time to time and had him talk, but he wasn't actually going to join the party to do anything. But the idea was to build a base that they could kind of have. So there was trees that were actually houses, things of that nature. Always just like a place for people to be. So my paladin, eventually, I forget exactly how this came about, but our players were told that they had to go to one of the circles, of the deepest circle of hell, because the patron for Twins Warlock was dying. Her soul had been stolen by a demon in the deepest circle of hell. So we would have to go to the circle of hell to save her, because if we didn't, Twins' character would die. So we did so, and we had the help of a half-demon to get down there. We got down there, we fought, and one of the things that we fought, we got the soul, we got out. But in doing so, we heard new plans about what was going on. It turns out all the demons and all the devils, all the really, really bad things, were going to team up, which is something they'd never done before. They're going to team up, and all of the evil would come attack the mortal plane. Really bad things. So we learned about that, and soon after that, my paladin had a vision directly from Bahamut. And that's kind of an unusual thing. Generally, clerics get visions, paladins get orders from clerics. But my paladin was given a vision directly from Bahamut, and that vision was that there would absolutely be a war between the mortal world and the demon devil army. And more importantly, my paladin would be the one leading the armies of good. I would be the commander of the fight. No idea how long in the future it would be, but it would be some point in the future this would occur. And then I went to the clerics and told the clerics of Bahamut, hey, this is happening. The clerics communed with Bahamut and confirmed this was real. This was something that was going to actually happen. And that's an important thing, because when the clerics confirm it, now the church knows it. So the church and the clerics were also told by Bahamut himself that this makes me the champion of Bahamut. And that's an important thing. As far as I'm aware, the gods get, or not get, but the gods typically choose one champion. It is their, the right arm of that god. They get a ton of powers, and they are really the voice of that god on the plane. So I was the champion of Bahamut. So I was the voice of Bahamut on the plane, and therefore that doesn't necessarily make me the head of the church, but it means I can do a lot of other things. Really important thing too, because I had a lot of money. Like I had tons. I had more money than the majority of some countries at this point, due to some just basically bullshit that happened at this point in the game. So the idea was that I would build a school to help find more paladins, because we would need all the paladins we could get. And also this allowed us to start building a let's go ahead and heal up a little bit. This would allow us to start building an army. And it would also give us storyline too, because the storyline could start being, how are we going to build this army? Who are we going to call in? Who are allies going to be? At the same time, the heroes came to me, the other three, and they needed help. They needed money to get some stuff done on their parts. So I gave them a bargain. I will give you this money as a loan. You will eventually have to pay me back at no interest. But in return for me doing this for you, you will join my side. You will immediately join the army of Bahamut, and you will assist me in the things that I have to do. The party had no choice, of course. This was both our plan to get the party together, but this was also, they needed this money and I could provide it. So the party agreed. I gave them the money, helped them with their mission at the time, and then they were now part of my party. So we were traveling, and as we were traveling, I was at a Magic the Gathering event at the time. At the time this event started, we were coming back from a fight, and we were trying to discover the location of some missing paladins. A bunch of paladins of my order had gone missing in some southern portion of the map for some time, and we were investigating to try to figure out where they were. And along the travels, we had discovered a man who had a man who lives outside of time. He's insane. But he has an intense grudge against someone we know, a gnome who has time travel magic, and he's essentially God unto himself. The insane man wanted to kill the gnome and was going to use us to do it. And naturally, we didn't want to, but he shoved a scroll in our hands, a scroll with the power to kill a god, and we couldn't get rid of the scroll. It was soul bound to us. There's nothing we could do. So the hope was that we could find the gnome, let him know about it so we wouldn't accidentally kill him. So we had this scroll. So we get ambushed in the middle of a field as we're traveling. And we get ambushed by two evil clerics. Turns out these evil clerics are from, are employed by, I think it was Twinny's character's father, who is the head of his own cult. And he wanted Twinny's character back because she has power and he wants to control her. And at the same time, these clerics also have powers over undead. They were something I was looking for. My character was trying to look for these strange zombies that could be found in the south. And it looks like these were the source of the zombies, too. So we started fighting them. I was able to very quickly dispatch one of the clerics, and the other cleric raised him as this stupidly hard-to-kill zombie. So we're fighting there. And now is when I learn that the half-demon that had helped us in hell had encountered us while I was not in the session yet, while I was still at the magic. And the scroll went off on him and killed his, killed a soul inside of him. Turns out he had two souls. One was his own, and one is some other thing that was stabilizing him. As soon as the other soul died, there was nothing keeping him sane, and all of a sudden he could go on a rampage. And we were running away from him when we encountered the clerics. So as we're fighting, this half-demon pops into existence next to us and starts to fight. Us, the clerics, didn't matter. So we're trying to get away from him, and he gets enough control over himself to tell us to run. And, that's basically the DM telling us to run. I thought that was a great idea, so I told my allies, start running. I will cover your retreat. As I say that, I've cut the zombie in half again, because the zombie keeps on putting himself back together. I've separated the two halves of his body by 10 feet, and I go up to start engaging the other cleric, because the demon right now is just focused on the cleric. The living cleric casts, I think it's command creature. It's a mind control spell. Gets a natural 20, takes control of the demon. Tells the demon to kill us. Again, I tell my party, run. Because now, this super powerful godlike demon is in control of a person who wants to kill us. So, Twin, who has our warlock cleric, she is in a state of fear. Fear means that you cannot go any closer to the source of your fear. You have to either run away or stay at the same distance. The source of her fear is this cleric, so she can't come any closer. She starts leaving. The monk, who is our second character, is like 3 rounds away distance-wise, so he's not going to be able to help us. But the guy who plays the Eldritch Knight doesn't listen. He wants to come and engage in the fight. I tell him to leave. Twin tells him to leave. The demon told him to leave. The DM tells him to leave. He doesn't listen to any of us. Now, before I continue this this story, I should let you know this character has repeatedly fucked things up for our party because he doesn't think things through a lot. He'll touch magical artifacts for no reason, cause them to explode. He, doesn't play a lot cautiously. I even made a parody of the his name was Eastvaughn, I think. Istvaughn, something like that. I can't remember the exact name. It was two syllables, ends in Vaughn. I made a parody of the song Gaston about him, No one... Ebon, that was it. No one screws up like Ebon, gets us fucked like Ebon. Like, that was the song. So Ebon tries to come fight. The first thing the demon does is Power Word Kill. Power Word Kill is a spell that flat out fucking kills someone if it succeeds. So what does he do? He points at Ebon, Power Word Kill. Ebon fails his saving throw. Ebon instantly dies. Now, if he had run, he would have been out of range. The only person that ability could have been used on is me, and I could have resisted it. But no, he's on Ebon, Ebon dies. Now, I have a spell that will allow me to stabilize Ebon and get him back so we can move on. I don't have the materials for the spell, and I am currently engaged with the demon. The Warlock Cleric also has this spell. She has the required diamond for it. We were rich, as I said. She has the diamond she needs, but she can't get close enough to the fight to save him, and we don't have enough time for the monk to get there. As soon as Power Word Kill goes off, the demon immediately turns to attack the Warlock Cleric. Now, this entire time, I have had what I affectionately call the nuke button in my pocket. Part of my richness comes from the fact that we had fought a demon dragon from the plane of Gehenna. So for those who don't know, Gehenna is one of the hell-like. It's not hell, but it is a hell-like realm, and this dragon was like the ruler of it. A purple dragon, which doesn't normally exist in D&D, and we had scales from the purple dragon. I sold these scales to that time-traveling gnome I talked about earlier. He gave me a shit ton of money. But because he was so happy with these scales, he also gave me what we called crumble stones. These are kind of disc seals, and this is not good. Okay. These were kind of like seals, and when you broke the seal, you got a special attack out of it, or a special ability. So one of the seals was basically a potion, another seal lets you use a paladin smite effect, things like that. There was one special seal, though, the nuke. I had it in my pocket the entire time. I never used it because of how powerful it is and also its secondary effect. But I had it just in case the party ever needed it. So I told my DM, and keep in mind, I was upset because I knew what was going to happen. And my DM also knew. He was apologizing because he got multiple natural 20s, which led to the situation. But when Iban died and the demon turned on the warlock, I was upset because I knew exactly what was about to happen. So I did something I don't do very often. I used a conditional ability for my turn. I said, I will not take my turn. I'm not going to act. I will not do anything. However, if the demon turns towards any of my allies, or if the demon takes an offensive action towards any of my allies, I choose to use the nuke. And my DM knew exactly what this was and exactly what it was going to do. Not only did he give it to me in the first place, but he actually had a character steal it from me in a previous situation to make sure I couldn't use it on accident. So what does this nuke do, you ask? So this nuke dealt 10d100 damage to a target and everyone within 5 feet of that target. This nuke would also do this damage is necrotic damage, which means a lot in some cases. This nuke also does 1/3 of that much damage to the user of the Crumblestone. Anybody who dies due to this nuke cannot be raised or revived by any spell short of the 9th level spell Wish. So this is stupidly powerful. I rolled. And so naturally, how the hell do I have a D100? We play this online. I've seen plenty of D100s. They're easy to get. But we were playing online with Roll20. So I rolled my 10d100, dealt a absolute shit ton of damage. Nice. And the damage was enough to flat out just kill the demon. Now keep in mind, this guy is stupidly strong. He went 1v1 versus one of the strongest demons of hell. So really strong dude. I one-shot him with this item. Of course, because I one-shot him, it dealt enough damage to kill me too. So both of our characters died. The DM character died. The DM character died. I died. And also, funnily enough, because of the placement, the evil cleric who was scaring the warlock also died. That was one of the reasons I used it, is because I would catch all three of us. But this was the first time I had ever lost a character. And what annoyed me is the reason I lost this character, the reason I died, is because Iban's player refused to run when everybody, including the DM, told him to. So when we're talking about like characters and players who do not see the big picture, that was absolutely one of them. A player who would not listen even when people were telling them hints, which caused me to die. Iban got revived. The demon had friends who could cast Wish. He got revived. My body was eventually recovered. But by the time my body was recovered, the players, their next quest was to get a Wish spell. And they spent a lot of resources, and they actually got 3 Wish spells. Wish is very powerful. For those of you who don't know D&D, it can basically do anything. But you can only cast Wish 3 times in general in life. And the more times you cast it, the more likely it is to go horribly wrong and do something terrible to you. So Wish is very, very powerful. They got 3 Wish spells by doing a couple of things in the game. By the time they wished me alive, I had already made a new character, and my character was intended to be an interim character just so I could be part of the party while we were waiting to revive me. By the time they revived me, my DM decided he didn't want me back in the story anymore because I was screwing things up. So he made me impossible to revive, so I could not get my paladin back anymore. I did a lot of work on this paladin. So I was very, very upset that this character ended up dying because of it. Because again, this was them dying due to having nothing to do... Well, my action killed my character. The actions that led to my character dying had nothing to do with me. So I was very upset. And it was mostly due to a character who refused to run when told to run by God himself. Unfortunately, that campaign ended not long after that. Because people really realized that without my paladin, the game wasn't quite as fun anymore. So, like, the Iban and the Warlock got together and actually she got pregnant because of it. So they were actually going to retire. So that those characters were going to retire. Only the monk was going to be the one left. So a bunch of characters were going to retire. Yeah, so that was the thing that we never got an answer to because the DM never intended this to happen. Like, this was the result of multiple natural 20 rolls. Natural 20s it's a 1 in 20. He got like 3 of them in 2 rounds, which caused these types of things to happen. He got a natural 20 on the command demon, a natural 20 on I forget what else. I believe Yvonne got a natural 1 on his defense roll against Power Word Kill. So it was all of these like things that happened that were just extremely hard to predict. So the DM did not intend this. If the game had continued on longer, we may have actually seen how this was going to be resolved with, like you said, my character was supposed to be destined to lead the war against evil. So, and that was something given to him directly by Bahamut, who is a god. So either we're saying Bahamut was wrong, or this was something Bahamut couldn't foresee. Either of which, could have been an explanation. Or my character would be revived by someone else. Part of my character was that my character was known as a paladin of vengeance. So I'm not one of necessarily the nice paladins. My paladin is, I kill evil, that is what I do, and if I decide you're evil, you are a dead man. It does not matter what you do, my justice is all-consuming, was the concept. But the idea was my paladin was supposed to be old. The idea was to have my character be the type of character who survived. He's a survivalist. That's his entire thing. He just happens to survive everything. And part of the reason I gave him because I was joining midway into the fight, we gave him a bunch of things that explains his survival. But the idea was my character was supposed to be an older character, and a lot of the stuff I do was meant to be based around let's survive it, let's be pragmatic about it, let's plan ahead. So that was the idea behind a lot of my character design. And part of my character design was also that my character was old enough to have been married once upon a time and had a kid, and his wife and kid both died. And so one of the things behind hello? Hi. That seemed really useful. Do I want to lose? I think that 30% luck is too good for that. But I think I'm okay with giving that to linear. So the excuse, and keep in mind, I told the DM that if we decided not to allow my paladin to be revived, this would be the reason we gave. But the rule was that, my paladin was an old paladin. He was like, I forget how old I put him. He was like 50-something as a Dragonborn, which makes him, it makes like a 40-something human. He wasn't old, but he was an older guy. The point was that he survived because surviving is what he does. And he fights evil because that is what he does. But once he died, he was in heaven with his wife and kid. And one of the only reasons a revive doesn't work is if the target of the revive does not want to come back. If they don't want to return to life. And so the idea here is that he lived, he did everything he had to, he sacrificed himself for the greater good, he has done all you could possibly ask of him, his work is done, he got his reward, he is now in heaven with his wife and kid, he has no reason to ever come back to life. So that was the reason, and keep in mind, that's something that I came up with and the DM agreed to, so that wasn't something that the DM just came up on his own. And we just ran with that. So that's the reason why he did not come back, is he was with his wife and kid and did not want to return to life. He got his reward for a lifetime of pain, suffering, and sacrifice, basically. Which I felt was a fine ending to his story. So the question then became, what happened of the prophecy? Like, what happened? Was Bahamut wrong? Was this something Bahamut couldn't foresee? Because remember, gods in D&D are not all powerful. There's other stuff going on. Or would he come back later on? Because we all thought that the war against the demons would be, maybe 2 or 3 years from now. Then we started getting hints that the war against the demons may not be for 100 years. So it may be that in 100 years, my paladin is brought back to life. because nothing stops that. A wish can bring someone that old back to life anyways. So, you know, the party kind of disintegrated and the game kind of ended before we ever got an answer to that question. But that could have been what happened, is he could have been revived a long time later. So it's kind of sad. I was very upset for the remainder of the next week and a half. I was upset about that because I ended up losing that character, and I really enjoyed it. Like, all of us were very upset that that Arco died from that. But it was a good story, and one of the things that I say a lot, and this is absolutely true, is that above all else in role-playing games, I value storytelling and character building. You know, I look for a story to take out of the session, and this was absolutely a fantastic story. A paladin who literally sacrificed himself to stop the greatest evil around. And, you know, that's what paladins do. And we don't often get that. You see a lot of, like, D&D games. Someone plays a paladin, but they're kind of a fair-weather paladin. They fight evil when fighting evil is convenient. They run away if they need to survive. And you know, I said Ark was a survivalist, and he was, but he was a survivalist who won he was survived because he won every fight. He got magic items that made him hard to defeat. He thought ahead, planned ahead, and worked efficiently. But he didn't run from fights. In fact, that's actually part of his oath as a Paladin of Vengeance, is that they do not flee from evil, and they always fight the greatest evil in the area. So I also got to play a Paladin who was unflinching in his convictions, which is also incredibly fun. So no, it was absolutely it was a fun story. It was enjoyable, but that kind of result definitely happened because of a player who would not look at the greater picture. Those are the fun stories that come out of that stuff. I always enjoy those. Hey, we got grenades. I don't want them. I do not want those grenades. I'm not interested. I absolutely want that, though. Oh, I didn't realize I have 2 4-leaf clovers. Interesting. If I had the words to it, I'd look them up. I might have them somewhere in a document somewhere that I might be able to look up. The very next game I played, I ended up playing a bard. It was the only bard I've ever played, and it was meant to be a one-shot originally. So I decided I was going to play a stereotypical bard. And, you know, for anybody who doesn't know bards in D&D, they're all womanizers, they're all punsters, you know, they all have sex as often as possible, like, they bed everyone. The running joke is that a bard never sees someone they don't want to get in bed, and that half the time bards win the fight because, you know, yeah. So you know about that bard. So I ended up playing a bard, and it was originally a one-shot, so I played him stereotypical, but when we decided to turn into a campaign, I decided that he was just going to be the one I talked about last time. I'm bringing it up for a reason. I decided that I wasn't going to play it straight. He looks like a stereotypical bard from the outside, but once you actually know him, it's all a front. But as part of playing this bard, I did want to actually do a bard justice, so I ended up writing a lot of parody songs. You know, all kinds of different ones, and that's one of the things that I ended up doing is I was kind of just writing 1 or 2 stanzas of a parody, so that way if bards actually do have the opportunity to go to like a bar and perform, and when you perform, you actually can make money. Well, my DM said, look, you can perform, you actually have to sing a song though. So, you know, I actually did write up songs to sing. I don't know if I necessarily have any of them written down anymore, though. I can look, though, because it's not as if I'm doing anything important on screen. Applegrass as opposed to Red Viper. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I do have the Ebon song. 1 second. Okay. Let me get into our next fight over here. Let's see what do we got here. Nail and Royale, we don't care. That being said... Okay, so the song as written